These job cuts are going to be massive. 10,000 at HHS, some of those coming from NIH, and it's all courtesy of DOGE, right? DOGE is going in and they're like they get a big red marker and they're like, boom, 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 gone. Joining me right now, a little bit more on this, is my friend Jeremiah Mosteller. He is from AFP and he's all about going after these cuts. DOGE is doing the right thing and he wants to see much more of it. I spoke with him just a few minutes ago before coming on air. Jeremiah, good to have you here, my friend. I'm excited to talk about all this stuff because it's like boom, 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 one thing after another every day. There's more executive orders coming our way. The ones that I find especially exciting, business reporter that I am, is all these spending cuts. I guess my question to you is, we've got all this pushback, right, coming from the left. How do we get this to the finish line? I get that the executive order is step number one, but if we wind up in the courts, and believe me, we will. I mean, Chuck Schumer bragging about how they have 235 liberal judges that they installed during the Biden era just for this moment. How does this actually turn into reality?
Yeah, Trish. I mean, the Trump administration has done 100+ executive orders. They are moving faster, louder, and more comprehensively than any administration ever to reduce the size and scope of government. But if we hope for these positive things to outlast these 4 years, we need Congress to partner with them. We need them to act, to incorporate some of this into statute and into budget. We need to see it become part of federal law, or the next Democratic administration can just come back, re-bloat these agencies, and re-engage them into micromanagement of Americans' lives.
So do you anticipate a lot of lawsuits? I mean, every which way you turn, because here they are. DOGE is like out there saying, okay, we don't need this. We don't need this. USAID, wow. I mean, that one blew me away. Now it all kind of makes sense, right? Now I get why the media was so stressed about Donald Trump winning, because they're losing a lot. There's a lot to lose here financially. So this will all be fought out in the courts. Executive action doesn't really matter anymore?
I mean, that's what we expect. We see folks have their lawsuits ready to go the second that an action is announced, and they don't even have the full facts. So what we're consistently seeing in these pieces of litigation is, as they're moving through and the judges are asking questions, the actual basis of these lawsuits from the left are slowly being undermined because they're actually realizing what the true facts are. So they're essentially using chaos and hyperbolic language to make this seem like this is more than what it actually is right now.
Which is just trying to slim down a grossly exaggerated, completely unrealistic budget. I mean, I've never gotten this, Jeremiah. I remember once years ago when Obama was in office, I had this conversation. It turned into a little bit of an on-air fight, which we didn't typically have at Bloomberg Television when I was there, but it was me and Gene Sperling. And I'm saying to him, but I don't understand, like, why do we have to always increase our spending relative to the increase in GDP growth, right? If your economy grows this much, the left always wants to somehow grow spending by that much or more. And my feeling is, like, if you're a family, right, and you get a pay raise, that doesn't mean you run out and buy a new car. Like, you try and, like, actually live within your means. And we haven't done that. And now you get a new team coming in with DOGE. And I know you guys are working hard to make sure that Congress is in line with this, because I get it. Like, members of Congress all want their little pet projects too. But you got this new team coming in, almost like a consultant with fresh eyes, saying, yeah, we need to bring this spending back in check. It's like the family that's extended its credit card debt. It's out of control.
Mm-hmm. Trish, I mean, yeah, with a nearly $7 trillion budget, which is 6 times growth since 1995, I think it's common sense that there is fraud, waste, and abuse that can be cut out of that federal budget. I mean, we have more than $500 billion of spending that goes to programs that Congress has not reauthorized, that they've not said should continue to exist. And so it's important for us to take a look at all the programs, all of the agencies, determine, hey, what actually still should exist, and what do we actually need to take a hard look at getting rid of or scaling down or rethinking. And I think the most interesting thing about the left is you can look back a decade. Schumer, Pelosi, Clinton, all of them have videos that you can find online where they are talking about the need to cut fraud, waste, and abuse when they were in charge. But now that the Republicans are in charge, they don't think it's important anymore, and they actually think it's a constitutional crisis.
Well, I mean, this is why we're so broken, honestly. I mean, this is what's so frustrating about it all. I remember a time when we had all those same people saying we shouldn't have illegal immigration, right? You should come here legally. And then suddenly, once Trump comes on the scene and says, I don't want any more illegal immigration, suddenly it's like, let's open the floodgates. I mean, it's a massive form of TDS, which really just, I think, exaggerates this quote unquote divide. But, Americans aren't feeling the divide, because I look at all the polls that are coming out, and overwhelmingly, I mean, he's got great numbers. Americans think the U.S. is on the right track. And I know there's a lot of unknowns out there, but you've got 2 inflation reports now that show inflation is not what it was. It's coming down, still up, but it's coming down. You've got manufacturing reports that point to this growth in the manufacturing sector. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, and we don't know how all these tariffs are going to shake out in the very sort of near term, but I think most Americans are with him on this idea. I think they trust him, which is important. They have no trust right now in a lot of these institutions, and rightly so. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Trish. I mean, if you look at the polling on DOGE and its goals generally across demographics, whether we're talking Democrats, Republicans, independents, we see 60+% support for rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. We see high support among Republicans and independents, and even majority support among Democrats for cutting $1 trillion in government spending at the federal level. And we hear it every single day at AFP. We have millions of activists across the country that my team has the opportunity to work with every single day. Americans are eager to reduce the cost and size of government and to cut red tape.
That brings me to, you guys are actively working, and you're hearing about these things that need to be cut. And I just want to throw this out there to the viewers. Listen, if you have an idea on something that needs to get cut, or you want to be involved in some way, shape, or form, I just recommend that they get involved with your organization, because you have all these grassroots efforts. And I'm just going to give them the place they should go, which is dogeidea.com. Doge, DOGE, idea.com. And go there now, because if you have an idea on something that DOGE should be cutting in your local, state, federal government, I mean, wherever it is, I just think that people need to kind of embrace this as much as possible, because there's so much waste, and this is what, this is our future, basically. I mean, if we don't get control of this, I don't know what our destiny is. I keep going back to Rome. I'm sorry, I've done that for years. I got a kick out of it when it became a TikTok meme, if you would, right? Because I'm like, yep, I've been on that for years, Rome with all their spending and living off the dole, etc. We have to be responsible about it.
Mm-hmm. Trish, couldn't agree more. I mean, if you look at what the Biden administration has done, they have put nearly $20 billion of money toward corporate cronyism for their green agenda. And it's like, hey, I like a Tesla. I like Elon Musk. I love those cars. They're beautiful cars. But why are we spending $20 billion to subsidize them, and especially in communities where they don't want EVs, where they have to have a diesel-powered F-150? We're still spending millions of dollars to bid out the charging infrastructure.
Right, because we've got our agenda, right? So the EV agenda. But to me, I look at it, and as a journalist, I'm just horrified, and not to wonk out, but I've been doing this for about a week now, so the viewers are used to it. The Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which allowed for all this spending because of Cold War, propaganda that we wanted to get out there. And we were like the first ones to have radio and television. And so we were phenomenal, right, at getting out the word, our propaganda. And we used that to influence. And I understand it. Like, I get it. We didn't want to have to go to war with everyone. We wanted to influence regimes all around the world to have our political way of thinking. But Obama, in 2012, when it became part of the National Defense Act in 2013, he said we need to modernize this so that we can use some of that money, there was always this Chinese wall, and turn it back on the U.S. because in the name of preserving democracy, we need to do the same kind of propaganda effort right here at home. And that, to me, is also super disturbing, because you're talking about basically $1 billion a week, upwards of $50 billion a year going to USAID. And now we're learning all this money was going to the New York Times, Reuters, BBC, I mean, you name it. And as we watch these hearings, right, that have been going on Capitol Hill with NPR and PBS, I'm just really horrified because they all feel as though they're arms of the Democrat Party, and it's all about graft, right? Like, it's about protecting your friends and putting money into stupid programs that we do not need. In the meantime, our poor kids in the U.S. can't really read or write. Just look at the test scores, Jeremiah. I mean, how do we change it?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we need Congress to do more than have hearings. Hearings are great. They disclose a lot of information, but we really need Congress to step up and help DOGE accelerate the cost savings, accelerate the reduction in the size of the federal government. And there's essentially three key things we need to see them do. They need to end the misguided Biden-era regulations that micromanaged our lives and told us what appliances we can own, how we can do our jobs. We need them to end those. We need them to codify these positive developments in these executive orders so they can outlast these 4 years. And then we need them to pass legislation that will proactively prevent future bureaucratic overreach and bloat. And Congress, we have an agenda for Congress that we've been working with our activists to push. And so we hope that they will take up this mantle and ensure that this doesn't just end when Trump leaves office.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of it, right? Someone said to me the other day, actually a big donor to Columbia is very concerned that, sure, they're giving you lip service right now at a place like Columbia University. Oh, we're changing this, that, and the other. But nothing will really change until you wipe out the board of directors, you get rid of all the heads of faculty, you change all this so that it really, you have to have this kind of systemic change. And whether you're talking about an institution like a university or whether you're talking about government, if you're just giving lip service and you're pretending to do things, but they're not actually embedded in the culture, like we need to change the culture of Washington, I think, Jeremiah, right? So that it's a culture of watching your pennies instead of just giveaways.
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. I mean, I think one particular piece of legislation we've been talking a lot about that I don't think people really realized, but President Reagan had the authority whenever he was president to reorganize government agencies and actually go in and say, hey, we don't need this to exist anymore. Congress, can you rubber stamp this so I can get rid of this? That is lapse. And so we need Congress to pass the Reorganizing Government Act. So President Trump,
so we don't have that anymore?
It expired. It's still statutorily in the law, but the authority has expired. And so that's why Senator Mike Lee and Representative Comer have introduced the Reorganizing Government Act.
Wow. So if we can get that Reorganizing Government Act through and Republicans have the House and Senate, then that would thereby enable Congress and the president together to get rid of things like the Department of Education,
right.
and a host of other, the whatever it was, $2 million going to transgender surgeries in Peru or some place in South America, the DEI musical in Ireland or the transgender opera in Colombia. I mean, come on. It just seems like, given what we're up against, we need to take a red pen, right? And just go through this all. So again, just so people can get involved, I encourage you, Jeremiah's team is doing great work there at AFP. DOGEidea.com. This Reorganizing Government Act, I mean, this could be huge. I mean, I believe that. And it's going to be important, Jeremiah, let's just state the obvious, right? If you get that through, you want to make sure that the other side doesn't win in 4 years. Because then they can undo it all.
Yeah, no, that's right, Trish. And I think you see that being reflected in the moves around the Department of Education, where Trump has said, let's cut it down to the smallest possible size, and then we'll go to Congress to get their help to get rid of it. But you see the left, of course, is mischaracterizing that to say he wants to shut it down without Congress's approval. So it's interesting to see how, as we talked about earlier, these actions are being misconstrued by the left to cause chaos.
Well, thanks for all you do. We appreciate your support. DOGEidea.com. Everybody should go there now. Jeremiah, a pleasure to see you. Hope to see you back here soon.
Yes, thanks. Good to see you again, Trish.
So again, it's DOGEidea.com if you want to get involved. I encourage you. If you got some ideas on how we can cut some more government spending, they may be able to team up with you there. So it's a good organization.